like if y'all remember Monica's call this week, it's really good, Monica. It's kind of like maybe he's not actually trying to find out information, right? Maybe he already knows the answer, right? All right, so he has a bunch of questions. That's for each gospel. There are more open-ended questions than closed questions. But here's the breakdown of the closed questions. Your yeses, your nos. It's either this or that. It's it's a very simple answer. Have you not read? Which should always be a yes. Like, yeah, we've read that, Jesus. Well, but it's kind of rhetorical because you've read it, but you don't know what in the world's going on. Okay, but he is more likely to ask a question to get you to say yes and to say something that you would agree with. Like, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I think the answer is yes. And he's more likely than that to try to get you to have to formulate a well-developed response. Because like we said, when you're taking a test, everybody loves matching, true, false, multiple choice, because man, I can fib my way through quite a bit of that. But if it's just an open answer, like a short essay, just write everything you know about this, that's the real test to see what you know, right? And he likes to ask those kind of questions. What do you really know? Okay, so Monica's question that she brought up this week on the call, if y'all remember, it's really good. And I was like, man, we got to go revisit that. So today we're going to be in John chapter 5. If you got your Bibles, turn over there to John chapter 5. And quite a bit of this we're going to read word for word, and some of it I'm going to try to summarize for us. But here's the last thing. Before we get started, I want to thank you guys for being here, because today is also a special day. It is not just Mother's Day, but today is your chance to sit in on Will's therapy, okay? Because this is going to be one of those days. It's like, if everybody in here is like, I didn't get a thing out of that, I don't care. Because this one is like, it hits me right in the face. It's something I need. Okay, so John chapter 5, it's the story of there's this man who's been at this pool of Bethesda in Jerusalem, and he has been looking for an opportunity for 38 years. He's had this sickness, this illness, which is he can't walk. And for 38 years, he's been waiting for this opportunity to be healed. He wants to get better. He wants to walk again. Right? Everybody understand the story so far? Okay. So Jesus comes on the scene. And starting in verse 6. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been a long time in that condition, he said to him, "Do you wish to get well?" And that was Monica's question. And you talk about a good, man, there's a fly. You talk about a good evangelistic question. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to ask people. How about this? If there was something in your life that you could be spiritually healed of, what would you like God to heal you of? Because remember, Jesus is a physician, and Jesus did not come here to heal the well. He's not doing checkups on people. Who did he come here for? Monica and somebody, one more time. Who did he come here for, guys? The sick. Who is this church made up of, guys? The sick, in need of a physician. So Jesus finds this guy who he's paralyzed, but he says, do you want to be well? That's the question. Do you want to be fixed? Would you like your life to get better today? That's a pretty good question. But he says, verse 7, the sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred. But while I'm coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, how about this? Get up, pick up your pallet, and walk. And immediately the man became well and picked up his pallet and began to walk. And of course, we all know, anybody that normally gets healed of anything like that, and then under any normal circumstances, you're like, oh, you're going to need physical therapy. You're going to need to, learn how to walk again. Or if he has been lame from birth, don't know if he has, but if he has been, he may have never even taken a step. It's like, I don't know how to do this weird thing. But he immediately gets up, picks up his pallet, and he walks. Now, it was the Sabbath on that day, okay? So here's another question. Think about this, because this is why I love Jesus. We talked about this kind of this morning in class a little bit about being soft. It's kind of what I would put this in the category of. Why didn't Jesus just wait till Sunday? Why not just do it on Friday? Why not do it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? Why do it on the one day where some people would perceive it as breaking God's laws by working on the Sabbath. And why does he repeatedly do that? Why does he go out of his way to tick off people who should know better? Because Jesus is not afraid of confrontation. All right, so far, I think I've had about 6 punches in the gut. And here's number 7. And there's about 15 more coming. I don't like confrontation. Anybody else? Like, I've had a talk to Ashley about this a little bit. I've had me and Kelsey had an awakening and a powwow. I'm a people pleaser. And you're like, oh, you're such a good guy. No, I mean I'm a people pleaser to the point of a slave in my mind. I care way too much about keeping people happy. Not in a good way. I mean in a toxic way. I care way too much about trying to make everyone happy. I care more about are people happy than anything else, to the point that it doesn't make sense. And doing a little research on people pleasers and all this stuff, and I don't think it's a childhood trauma. It's not like my dad didn't love me and I was always seeking approval. I don't need a pat on the back from anybody. I don't need people to give me worth. But if I feel like there's just a hint of a situation where I could let somebody down or bother them or upset them or them think bad towards me, I am a total slave to that thought. I can't stand to displease people, right? I can't stand it. It's bad. Like I used to say about sports, I was competitive. I was pretty good, guys. I'm just saying. All right, pretty good. Got in the paper a couple times. Pretty good athlete. We, do football practice. We do gym during the day, PE. We get done with practice. It's 7 o'clock. And I go over to the track and I keep working out. Because I'm going to be the best. You know why I wanted to be the best? It's not because I loved winning. It's because I was fearful of losing. And it's that times everything. And it's just man, this is killing me, guys. It's been rough, okay? And it's why did Jesus go out of his way to heal people on the Sabbath? Because he's I've got something to confront, and I don't care if I'm going to upset some people, because this needs to happen. My actions are not determined by your feelings. I don't always act like that. And we do need to be considerate sometimes. But sometimes it's how do you think? If this is the right thing to do, if you need to hear this, if this is what has to happen, I'm going to do it. And Jesus goes out of his way over and over and over and over again on the Sabbath to heal people, to make a point, which is what? It's not work. If you would heal, or, if you get an ox out of the ditch on a Sabbath, how much more valuable is a human being, right? Let alone an ox that's been in a ditch for 38 years. He'd be man, that ox is happy to get out of that. Yeah, we'd be woo, good job, guys. Why in the world are you upset that there's a guy that has been suffering? Where in the old law do you come away with God likes people staying in a pit of suffering as long as possible? Where do you get that? Okay. And then you get to this next question. All right. 10. So the Jews were saying to the man who was cured, it is the Sabbath. It is not permissible for you to carry your pallet. I mean, just think about that, guys. Have y'all ever seen a little clip of so-and-so, coming out of chemo or cancer treatments? They're cancer-free, and they ring the bell, and there'll be nurses in the hallway, and it's coming down the hallway, cancer-free. Why in the world are you walking down this hallway right now? You're supposed to be in the bed. Can you imagine? Everybody in the hallway would go punch them. You're nuts. This is crazy. This is what we've been working for. We are in the business of getting people cancer-free. And you're bothered that now we're not going to get any more money from them. What? No, we don't. We want to go broke because everybody's cancer-free. And then, so verse 11. But he answered them, well, he who made me well was the one who said to me, pick up your pallet and walk. And I didn't catch this the first time. And I didn't catch it the fourth time. I didn't catch it really till this morning. And it was okay. I don't use this often, so I don't want y'all to think I'm a mean dad. But every once in a while, I've told you this. I'll use the phrase to one of our children, okay, are you more afraid of them or are you more afraid of me? Well, my brother said blah, blah, blah. Okay. Do you think you have a better chance of winning against your brother or me? Who do you think's going to whoop your butt? Okay. It's kind of like that. They're like, you are not supposed to carry your pallet. You can't walk. You're not supposed to. You are breaking the Sabbath. And you know what he says? Well, the guy that made me walk told me to. Think about that. We talked about this last week in Peter. The people that you used to run with, they're surprised that you don't keep running with them. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Like, man, sometimes you got to get rid of friends. Sometimes you got to change the lifestyle. Sometimes you're like, I can't hang with you anymore. I'm a different person, right? You got to do that sometimes. And they're surprised and they're like, why aren't you doing this? Like, look, dude, you don't understand. I don't care about what you think. I care about what Jesus did. That'd been a good amen point. I don't care about what you think. I care about what Jesus did. Amen. Okay, so there's like, he confronts people on the Sabbath. And then he's like, who in the world told you that you could? And he's like, well, the man who healed me said I could walk. He said I could carry this. I don't know everything about the Old Testament, but I know that he's got more power than you do. He's got way more authority than you do. And he said I could walk. All right. And then we get to verse 12. I think we're in 12. They asked him, so who is the man who said you pick up your pallet and walk? But the man who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had slipped away while there was a crowd in that place. Afterward, verse 14, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, behold, you have become well. Do not sin anymore so that nothing worse happens to you. All right, now pause. Here's something else interesting to think about, okay? If Jesus was like a typical, let me rephrase that, a stereotypical TV evangelist or mega church pastor, you would expect that it's like, oh, I'm going to heal you so that everybody else can see it. And everybody else can be like, wow, this Jesus guy is something else. And he can make money and he can do whatever else, right? But what happens to Jesus after he heals this man? Pick up a pallet and walk. And then where does Jesus go? He slips away. Because, guys, when it says that Jesus came to heal the sick, did he come to perform physical miracles? Yeah. But what did Jesus do next? It says that Jesus sought him out. Where was he? At the temple. And what did Jesus tell him? From now on, do your PT every morning. Take your Advil. Ice them knees. Keep them legs good because, boy, I healed them. Is that what he tells him? How odd that he performs a physical miracle, but when he finds him in the temple, what does he tell him? Don't sin anymore, dude. Because the point of Jesus' miracles, and I think Monica kind of alluded to this, if you listen to her call, it's not just about healing people physically, it's about healing people spiritually. Jesus came here to forgive people. Do you want to be well? Yeah, I'd love to walk again. Okay, well, I'll let you walk again, but when I catch you at the temple, and I'm going to seek you out, here's what I want you to know. You're well. Oh, I know I can walk. No. I know you can walk, but you're spiritually well. Anybody want to be spiritually well? Do you think the world, Josh called me out on this at the elders meeting. He's so rude. He's such so mean. But you know, like when you're around your worldly buddies, we have to remember it is stacked in our favor. We know what they don't know. And we know what they think we don't know. And what do we know, guys? We know they are sick. And if life was perfect, Jesus would not need to come to this earth. We know that they've got something in their life that they need Jesus for. Because I know that I have stuff in my life that I need Jesus for, right? Y'all same way? Do y'all have stuff you need Jesus for? You're like, man, like I see somebody like Carolyn, I'm like, Carolyn's she's just perfect. There's no way she's ever done a single thing bad in her life, right? Wow, I can't believe it. No, I can believe it, you know? Because the people in this church have been sick, but boy, am I well. And we know that everybody in this world is suffering with something that's different. May not be my thing, but everybody's got something that they need to be healed of. Okay. So, I guess the question is, So who is it? Well, Jesus, I don't know. He slipped away. I don't know who he was. But Jesus, he comes and he seeks me out at the temple. And it's interesting the words that he tells them, which is not about physical therapy. It's not about, how to take care of your legs. He says, do not sin anymore. Verse 15. The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who made him well. Now, here are my thoughts on this. He didn't have to go back to the Jews and tell them who it was, did he? Last time he talked to him, he was like, I don't know, dude. This guy slipped away. Crazy. You have a crazy best day of my life, and I don't even know his name. And then he finds out his name, and then what does he do? I'm going to go back and tell you. Let me tell you who this guy was. His name was Jesus. For this reason, the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. Because he's breaking the laws of Moses, they think, which he's not, all right? Verse 17, but he answered them, my Father is working until now, and I myself am working. And this is what's interesting, is of all the things, like, how Paul, or when he was Saul, he's persecuting Christians, and he really thought, he's like, I'm just doing the Lord's work right now. He's like, oh, I know, this is God's work. There's people today, all sorts of religions that are doing all sorts of wacky, crazy things. They're like, oh, in the name of God, this is what God wants. What does God really want? Like, if God had a business, what's the business? Hospital. What is it? What? Hospital. That's a pretty good answer. Real good answer, Libby. So if God has a business, if Jesus says, my Father's been working, and I'm carrying on the family business, well, what's the context? He just healed a guy and forgave him. So why did God create the universe? Why did God create us? Why is all this history in the Old Testament? Why is all this stuff here? What's going on? And it's not a bunch of reasons. It's not all there for a bunch of reasons. It's not all there as just like a rule